Good morning, I'm Roland Martin. Next on News 1 Now, Republicans swing on each other debate last night. We'll break down what took place, how often Donald Trump lied, how often he was busted, also, and who really was the best candidate who could be commander-in-chief on that stage last night. We'll talk about it with our panel. Also, former GOP nominee Mitt Romney. Whoa, he got a little personal with Donald Trump yesterday, called him a con man, blasted him. We will also share that with you as well. Folks, Tracing Your Roots is gaining popularity among African Americans. We'll reveal one man's family history. You don't want to miss that. Also, actress Zoe Saldana under attack for wearing lots of makeup to portray Nina Simone in an upcoming biopic. Folks, Black Twitter lost their minds. Plus, we caught up with the biggest and best in gospel music at this year's Stellar Awards. I'll bring you all the red carpet action and give you a glimpse of what will air right here on TV One. Time to bring the funk on News 1 Now, right now.
This little guy has lied so much.
Here we go. So if there's anyone who's ever deserved to be attacked that way, it's been Donald Trump.
Just for the record, I've won 10. He's won 3 or 4.
Of all the people on this stage, he performs the worst against Hillary Clinton.
Wrong.
I beat Hillary Clinton by more than anybody, by 11 points.
Well, wasn't that fun? It was the Republican debate last night taking place on Fox News from Detroit, where the candidates went after each other, got real personal. Donald Trump, seriously, you got to bring up the size of your penis? Really? In a debate? That makes you presidential? Okay. They did try to get around to some major issues in America, including the Flint water crisis.
What happened in Flint was a terrible thing. It was a systemic breakdown at every level of government, at both the federal and partially at both the state and partially at the federal level as well. But here's the point. This should not be a partisan issue. The way the Democrats have tried to turn this into a partisan issue, that somehow Republicans woke up in the morning and decided, oh, it's a good idea to poison some kids with lead. It's absurd. It's outrageous. It isn't true. All of us are outraged by what happened, and we should work together to solve it.
We as adults have to fight in our neighborhoods, in our communities, for our children's education. Put the politics aside, and everyone in this room can play a role in lifting their schools and lifting the students who are in those schools, because too much politics gets in the middle of it, and where we focus as adults and put children first, we see tremendous results, and the people of this town are going to rise, and they need to be involved.
Detroit is a great city with a magnificent legacy that has been utterly decimated by 60 years of failed left-wing policies. The way you bring manufacturing back to America is, number one, you lift the regulations. As president, I will repeal Obamacare, the biggest job killer in America. I will pull back the federal regulators, the EPA, and all the regulators that are killing small businesses and manufacturing.
One question about Flint. One question about Flint. But of course, you know that we're fireworks on other issues as well. Rotate.
So if there's anyone who's ever deserved to be attacked that way, it's been Donald Trump, for the way he's treated people for the last campaign. Now, that said, I would much prefer to have a policy debate. I hope that's what we'll have here tonight.
He hit my hands. Nobody has ever hit my hands. I've never heard of this one. Look at those hands. Are they small hands? And he referred to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small. I guarantee you there's no problem. I guarantee it.
And you see what happens again when you challenge him on a policy issue? You asked him about the economy, and the first thing he does is launch an attack about some little guy thing, because he doesn't have ansons. And he's asking us to make him the president of the United States of America.
Don't worry about it, little Marco. I will.
All right, well, let's hear Big Don. Donald.
Don't worry about it, don't worry about it, little Marco.
Gentlemen,
Let's hear
gentlemen.
You ought to chill a bit.
Gentlemen, you gotta do better than this.
This guy has the number one
Mr. Trump, may I ask you,
absentee
Mr. Trump,
record in the United
I'd like to ask you a
States.
policy question.
Doesn't show
Your
up to
proposed
vote.
tax cut.
That's why the people in Florida do not like him.
Donald Trump in 2008 wrote 4 checks to elect Hillary Clinton as president.
Okay.
So I'd like to ask Donald, why did you write checks to Hillary Clinton to be president in 2008? It wasn't for business. And how can you stand on a debate stage now with her and say you don't think she should be?
Actually, it was for business.
Mr. Trump, hi.
Hello.
How you doing?
Nice to be with you, Megan.
Great to have you here.
You're looking well. You're looking
As
well.
are you.
There's a difference between flexibility and telling people whatever you think you need to say to get them to do what you want them to do. And that's what Donald has done throughout his career. It's our country that's at stake here, the future of the United States in the most important election in a generation, and he's trying to con people into giving them their vote, just like he conned these people into giving them their money.
The real con artist is Senator Marco Rubio, who was elected in Florida and who has the worst voting record in the United States Senate. He doesn't go to vote. He's absent. He doesn't go. Now, the people of Florida can't stand him. He couldn't get elected dog catcher.
You know, Donald has a tenuous relationship with the truth. I wrote one op-ed supporting President Bush's nomination after he made it. I would not have made that nomination. But let me point out,
Not what you say in the op-ed. That is not what you said in the op-ed.
Donald, please, I know it's hard not to interrupt.
But it's not what you said in the op-ed.
Breathe.
Lion Ted.
Breathe. You can do it. You can breathe. I know it's hard. I know it's hard, but just...
When they're done with the yoga, can I answer a question?
You cannot. I really hope that we don't see yoga on this stage.
Well, he's very flexible, so you never know.
All right, then. Once again, the Republican debate where the issues that matter most to black voters were never discussed. Joining me on the panel, Michelle Bernard, political analyst, CEO of the Bernard Center for Women Politics and Public Policy, Ralph Chittum, Senior Vice Chairman of the D.C. Republican Party, Amber J. Phillips, writer and organizer, echoing Ida, and Elroy Saylor, a former advisor to the presidential campaign of Senator Rand Paul. Folks, I want to start here, and that is, it was very interesting to watch Chris Wallace bring up, first of all, let me give Fox News credit. By actually bringing in sound bites, bringing in graphics, saying you need to address this.
Yeah.
When they asked Donald Trump, how are you going to pay for, you say you're going to reduce the debt. You want to shut down the Department of Education, it's going to cost this. You want to shut down the Department of Energy, it's going to cost, EPA, it's only $8 billion. And here, where are you going to find the other $400 billion? He couldn't answer. He literally kept saying, oh, we're going to say $300 billion. He literally could not answer. It was as if his math skills could not be put to use. And to me, that is how you have to break him down. If you want to get into the insult game, you play his game.
Yes.
You force him to have to answer to his constant lies.
And I love when there was one answer that the Donald gave, and Wallace said to him, but your numbers don't add up. I mean, he stayed on point and did everything he could to either make him answer the question or prove that he doesn't have an answer.
And he wouldn't answer the question.
Well, Michelle, this is just a party that the Republican Party, this is a problem that the Republican Party is having right now. Peggy Noonan has talked about it. You've got a civil war going on between the grass tops, the grassroots, and the establishment. Year after year, campaign cycle after campaign cycle, we hear Republicans putting out these talking points. We're going to get rid of EPA. We're going to abolish the IRS. We're going to abolish the Department of Education. As you've seen for the numbers, education is $90 billion, EPA is $7 billion. Even if you abolish all of those departments, you're still not going to change the problems that Roland talked about on the debt. What I'm very, very disappointed about is many Republicans right now, but from my perspective and to our viewers, I'm disappointed because we spent time talking about yoga and small hands and who gave money to Hillary Clinton. Where you're sitting there, you're in the city of Detroit, where unemployment is double that of the nation. You're right next to Flint, where the infrastructure is eroding. You're right there where they've got an emergency manager over the educational system, and we couldn't speak to those issues. Well, no wonder our party's having a problem.
In fact, Ralph, one question about Flint with DeMarco Rubio, nobody else.
Yep.
One question about education goes to John Kasich. And I don't understand why, if you can ask all the candidates about immigration for the 100th time, why you couldn't say, what are you going to do about education in America? What are you going to do about the Flint water crisis? If you're a leader, which one of you will call Governor Rick Snyder and say, get this fixed? Nothing. I put that on the people who ask the questions.
Oh, absolutely. Clearly, when you watched that debate last night, there was an agenda in that debate. Fox basically set out to take down Donald Trump. Now, if that's what they want to do, that's fine. But what everyone here will agree to is this was a debate that was a waste of 2 hours of our time. They did not discuss issues such as education. They didn't get into criminal justice. They didn't get substantively into any issue that not just affects Black America, but affects grassroots America.
Right.
Yeah,
they completely missed the target on talking to Americans.
I do believe, Ambrose, that credibility comes into play. And what I felt was the absolute strongest part of the entire debate was when you saw a stumbling and bumbling Donald Trump who was trying to figure out how to get out of the lie about Trump University.
Yes.
I mean, it was
horrible.
I mean, he was like, okay, hold up now, let's just wait a minute, hold up. And to say, 98% of the people who loved it, but a third of the people are in a class action lawsuit. Then when he got a hit on, said, "Oh no, we had an A rating." You had a D- rating, and it was sort of like lie after lie after lie, and he literally was standing there trying to figure out, it's a small lawsuit, and we will know in 3 years. Okay, so basically you want us to wait 3 years to find the truth, so it'll be in, if you're president, the last year or your first term.
Yeah.
And see, Roland, that was a
I would
Go
love
right ahead.
what you said earlier, Roland, about how we would like to think that if we really push him on the facts, that there will be some kind of persuasion going on. But I don't think his base cares about the facts. I think he's been able to run this by just being a celebrity and being some faces that I've known Donald Trump. I didn't know how awful he was, but I think it doesn't matter to his base. And I also don't think they have to appeal to Black voters, as they have consistently done throughout these debates. They haven't talked about our issues at all.
Well, you know what's interesting? I took a look at the front of the Daily Caller yesterday, which is a conservative website, and big headline: liberal media won't address the fact that so many African Americans support Donald Trump. The fact that I had to read the article because I didn't know where it was coming from. You know, the fact that Donald
They still
Trump,
don't know. They still don't know because it's a lie. Elroy, again, here's my deal. If you keep focused on Trump answer facts, and to me, if you keep doing that, and if folks still say, I don't care, I'm going to vote for him, that means you understand that electorate that is in utter denial when it comes to truth.
Well, see, Trump had a great opportunity last night when he talked about Trump University, and most Republicans are really blowing their opportunities. When he talked about Trump University, if I were advising
First of all,
him,
which is not a real university, but go ahead.
Right, but if I were advising him, I would have used as an example to talk about Pell Grants, student loans, the disparities in education, and I would have said, hey, my effort with Trump University were to address these disparities that we have in urban areas and poor areas and the rest of America. Versus spending his time trying to defend Trump University, why not use that opportunity to talk about how he was trying
because
to
he can't.
improve the education
Because you're
system in
assuming he's
America.
actually thought about that. And he actually has
That's
it.
part of the problem.
I will
We
say,
need to hit all of these candidates with that same sort of in-depth fact-checking that Fox did with Trump last night.
of course. Well, first of all,
of them.
if they had the guts to come here, they would. I'll say this here. I felt that was only one person on that stage last night who is a grown-up, who can govern,
Kasich.
who has real
Kasich.
credentials.
He really does.
And although I thought, he danced around something, he let him off the hook, but I felt his strongest moment could have been said, where he mentioned it, but he didn't really want to go hard. Had he said, I'm sorry, which one of you actually sat in the Oval Office with President Ronald Reagan?
Yeah.
Which one of you actually sat with President Reagan to cut the debt? And he mentioned, I was there working with Ronald Reagan, but my deal, that's where you turn to them and say, Donald, were you there?
Yeah.
Were you there? Marco, were you there, Ted? I don't think so.
But I actually.
But at the end of the day, if you listen to Governor John Kasich, Governor of Ohio, Congressman, fiscal hawk, understands budget, that was the only grown-up I saw.
He was the only grown-up, and I actually like the fact that he handled the whole Reagan thing the way he did. simply because the big elephant in the room, I was waiting for Megyn Kelly, Amber, I hope you'll agree with me, to just say, gentlemen, why are we focused on your penis size? I mean, I think it's a national embarrassment that we've got all of these major candidates who can talk about nothing other than who is going to get on their knees for another candidate and who's got big hands and who has small hands. And actually, if they were going to ask the question properly, what they would have said is, you know what they say about white men with small hands.
I can't participate. I
don't go that way. I'm just saying.
We're not petty, but if we were petty, that's what we would ask.
This problem in the Republican Party, you saw it building up in 2010 with the Tea Party win. You saw it in the next election in 2014 with the landslide victory. You see it with all of the articles that are coming out. The Republican Party is clearly having a civil war, and it's having a huge meltdown. The ideals right now are coming from Paul Ryan. Whether you agree or disagree, he's right now trying to show some leadership and laying out some policies for the rest of the party to follow. But our candidates who are running for national office, it is a complete meltdown.
But Elroy, it's not just Republicans. You've got Democrats, high school degree or diploma or less, who are supporting Donald Trump. There's a problem with the national electorate, period.
Yeah, that takes you to a bigger problem. And I'm not being partisan here, but we've had 8 years. And when you ask yourself, are you better off today than you were 8 years before, 16 years before? Most people will say no.
Ralph.
But I give Kasich credit last night because he didn't get sucked into a WWE cage match.
Yes.
Despite all the provocation from the people who were supposedly moderators who tried to set up these fights among the candidates on the stage, every time they tried to bait Kasich, he pivoted and actually tried to give an answer that proved he was the only adult in the room.
But see, I coach Little League football, and you've got to meet people where they're at. When my kids and my players are excited, I get down on the ground with them and I get fired up. When my kids and when the football players are kind of mellowed out, I speak to them with a mellow voice. The electorate is fired up right now. So Kasich's problem is he's got the right rhetoric but the wrong delivery.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Wrong delivery.
I absolutely disagree.
Well, if it was the right delivery, why is he only at 8 or 9 points with delegates?
I think his numbers are going to keep going up. I think his numbers are going to keep going up, and I think we are headed toward, after last night, I think we're headed toward a brokered convention. Not one of those people other than Kasich deserves the vote of one single American.
Hold tight 1 second. When we come back, speaking of brokered convention, could that be the case? Yesterday, former GOP presidential nominee Mitt Romney came out publicly, let's just say, didn't have that much nice to say about Donald Trump. You want to hear our conversation next. Plus, backlash in Hollywood. Black folks are blasting Zoe Saldana after a trailer come out showing her with a tremendous amount of dark makeup, and she playing the role of Nina Simone. Also, find out how your DNA can help you find your African origins when I talk to the top DNA ancestry testing company. All of that, News 1 Now on TV 1.